Hello all and welcome along to yet another edition of the ever popular Flat Earth Friday. My name is Simon Dan and I'm glad you can join me. Today I want to talk about movement. Something we hear all the time from flat earthers is how the Earth is motionless. We don't rotate, we don't orbit the Sun, the solar system does not orbit the galactic centre and the galaxy does not move through expanding space. With claims like this you'd expect empirical evidence, wouldn't you? Not just stating that because we can't feel this motion, then we aren't moving. Check out my video on the senses for more on that. However, the flat earthers have another ace up their sleeve, one which they use all the time. And it goes something like this. If we are moving through space at such high speeds, why is it that the stars don't change position? Why is it that we see the same constellations year after year? Well, today I'm going to finally put this one to bed in the hope that they can no longer use it as evidence. The short answer is that the stars do move, and I'm not just talking about the movement we see as the Earth rotates, although that should be proof enough that we're rotating. I'm talking about a much more subtle movement which, once explained, will completely annihilate a motionless Earth. It's important to state though that most of this stellar movement is apparent motion due to the fact that we as a planet are moving in more than one dimension. There is some of what we call proper motion, but it's extremely insignificant. Let's start with this.
How is it that all this movement is taking place out in space? How do we see the same stars every night? How does we see the same constellations night after night? We've seen the same stars in the sky for thousands of years throughout recorded history. If all these supposed movements are taking place out there in space, why do we not have a different night sky every night? It doesn't make sense. We should have a different sky every night if all those movements are taking place. Wouldn't you think so?
It is true that we are orbiting the Sun. It is also true that the Sun and the rest of the solar system is orbiting the galactic centre. And finally, it is also true that the galaxy itself is hurtling through space. Edwin Hubble proved that last one without question. However, as usual with the flat earthers, they haven't bothered to actually look into the facts of it all at all. Even on the darkest night, in the most rural location, the stars we see with just our eyes are all inside this red circle. That means that we are only seeing stars in our absolute nearest vicinity, stars that are also orbiting the galactic centre at the same speed we are. If these stars are orbiting just as we are, then of course they will stay in roughly the same position relative to us. However, there is some proper motion here. Just keep in mind the stars are still very far away and that space is very, very big. The star with the highest proper motion is called Bernard's star. It's relatively close, at only 6 light years away, and because of that we see it move the width of the diameter of the moon over a 180-year period. Way too slow to see in a human lifetime, but this picture here shows its movement over a 4-year period against the stars behind it. Quite conclusive, wouldn't you say? So that deals with the star's actual movement. However, their apparent positions do change as well, both periodically throughout the year as well as on a much longer timescale. This is Vega. It sits in the constellation of Lyra and is one of the brightest stars in the summer sky. What if I was to tell you that in 12,000 years' time, Vega will be the North Star, or that in the year 2000 BC, Thuban was the pole star? What we're dealing with here is physics on a grand scale. If you spin a spinning top, what happens? The top wobbles slightly as it spins. The same thing happens to the Earth in a phenomenon known as precession. It wobbles very slowly though, and the cycle for North Stars lasts about 20,000 years. If you drew an imaginary line from the North Pole up to the skies, you'd trace out a small circle in the sky. Whichever star is closest to the North Celestial Pole at any one time becomes the North Star. Currently it's Polaris. In future it will be Earl and Aldebaran before Vega gets its turn. I'm not quite finished yet, as we still have to consider stellar parallax. I want you to hold your finger out at arm's length and close your left eye. Make a note of what object is behind your finger. Now open your left eye and close your right. You should notice that the background has moved relative to your finger. This happens because you're viewing your finger from a slightly different angle. The gap between your eyes is approximately 5 to 6 centimetres, and this makes a difference. It's called parallax, and it happens with stars too. Now, imagine if our two vantage points are much further apart than our eyes, say 300 million kilometres. This is how stellar parallax works. We note a star's position at a certain time of year, then we wait 6 months until we are on the opposite point of our orbit and we note the position again. Many of the stars in our sky are relatively close to us, and it is these stars that appear to move against the background of stars further away. So there you have it. Stars do move over time. Who'd have thought it? An entire reason for a motionless Earth completely debunked. If you see anyone using this as a reason for a motionless Earth, you should immediately post the link to this video. Well, that about wraps it up for me today. Thank you all for watching. A like and subscribe would be thoroughly appreciated. If you've managed to stay this long, then you should also like to take a look at the channel's Patreon page. There are loads of rewards up for grabs there. I'll leave the link in the description. Until next time, I've been Simon Dan. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Hello all and welcome along. My name is Simon Dan and I'm pleased to have you here with me today. It appears Flat Earth Friday now has somewhat of a cult following, and I appreciate all the positive comments from you all. I try to reply to as many as possible, but there are so many comments now it's proving difficult. So please know I appreciate all of them, even if I don't get the chance to reply. Right, let's get down to business. Today we are taking on this guy. Darren Nesbitt, a prominent Flat Earth figure who appeared on national morning TV here in the UK off the back of speaking at the recent convention back in April. So what has he done to warrant a response from me? Well, he has a Flat Earth model that appears to answer all the problems with the sun, moon, planets and stars. Of course, it's a load of codswallop. Darren, the floor is yours.
And the heavenlies provide much of the reason why the majority of thinking people still believe the ball in outer space theory. Because whatever its shortcomings, and they're pretty obvious, that model does at least explain heavens and astronomy fairly well. So for many flat earthers to ignore the heavens, saying, well, the sky can't tell us the shape of the ground, you're writing off most of the world's amateur astronomers, and all those who want to know how things like day and night and seasons and stars might work on a flat earth model.
I'm going to concede here that this was one of the most sensible things a flat earther has ever said.
Psalm 19 tells us that the sun goes from one end of heaven to the other end.
Oh dear.
This can't happen on the Gleason's disk model. The sun's circling round and round in the middle of the heaven. And a circuit is any loop, anything which comes back to where it started from. Circuit actually rarely refers to a circle in real life. And the word circle is normally used. I mean, these are all circuits, but there's no circles here, are there?
So what we have here is a flat earther who is fundamentally disagreeing with the Gleason type map. Unfortunately, that's like being in a room with a ravenous tiger that doesn't eat chicken.
And the Bible's unmistakably describing this type of model. To claim otherwise is to form a view from preconceived notions, to fit with an idea that someone else has suggested, and one that doesn't actually match most of Scripture, except for one or two verses.
And believing that the contents of the Bible is true is completely different to believing what someone has suggested, isn't it? This is pure hypocrisy.
And I've included over 70 verses here supporting this model.
70 verses of a fictional book.
And not just that, daylight hours are also easily explained with a sun that goes straight across the face of the earth and starts again in the east once it reaches the western end. This is how day and night work on a flat earth. This is the December solstice. And this is the June solstice. Very, very straightforward. The sun's small and local. And like I say, because of refraction, it lights up about half of the earth at once.
Come on, Darren. Because of refraction, it lights up about half the earth at once. Is it About half the Earth? Or exactly half the Earth? Or some of the Earth? Complete gibberish.
That's how we get the the day and night, and obviously it'll move between the tropics over the year, giving us seasons. And then the moon travels a lot lower than the sun is. It's actually lower, because Mercury and Venus never transit the moon, so it must be outside of their solar orbits, and we'll show that shortly. But also solar eclipses, they can occur almost anywhere on Earth, because that's the difference in height, as these two bodies are zigzagging between the tropics over the month and the year. That's why we can get eclipses almost anywhere.
Did it not occur to you that showing this picture has just completely confirmed the globe Earth? Look at the eclipse paths. Are they straight like your model would suggest? No, they aren't. They're curved. But you say the sun and moon zigzag across the Earth, which explains seasons. But seasons are months long. Eclipses are only hours long. This picture is a globe-shaped fist smacking you right in the face. The eclipse paths are curved because they happen on a spherical surface, and you are depicting them on a flat surface. Why do the paths closer to the poles appear more curved? Have a think about that, and then once you've come to the stark realisation that you've shot yourself in the foot, then, and only then, you can feel the overwhelming urge of embarrassment that's coming your way.
Again, the circle model can't explain that, and because the moon travels slower, it's quite straightforward why the shadow of the moon goes from west to east. But it also explains why the shadow of the moon isn't very large at all during the solar eclipses, despite it's supposed to be over 2,000 miles across, and it's pretty much next to us as far as the sun's concerned. It's clearly, a lot closer and smaller than we've been led to believe, and this is why we can also zoom in on it so well and see so much detail, with our amateur telescopes and P900s. You can't do that if it's 250,000 miles away.
Well, you could if it's 3,500 kilometres across, which it is.
It's not possible. So the solar system is a geohelio system as envisaged by Tycho Brahe.
Tycho Brahe was a phenomenal observer, but a theorist he was not. His hybrid model made no sense, which is why Kepler chucked it in the bin when Tycho died. You've basically copied that model. It's over 400 years old.
The planets still orbit the sun as we're all taught, but the difference is that the sun's passing over the face of the fixed Earth with the system in tow. And we see the transits of Mercury and Venus across the sun, so they must be very close. And this model also explains why we see the retrograde motion of the wandering stars. Mars must orbit outside of the length of the Earth because it never transits the sun, it never comes in between us and the sun. And then there are 4 further outer planets. I'm only illustrating Jupiter and Saturn here for brevity, but I believe there are 7 wandering stars in all in the system. Remember, these are all lights in the sky. They're not massive solid or gaseous bodies like they try to tell us.
We try to tell you because we've actually seen these gaseous bodies. I've witnessed them. Look, this is my picture. And so is this.
So, here's the solar system that you're used to. But it's perpendicular to the Earth rather than Earth being within it. Genesis says the Earth came first, the sun, moon and stars after, all on the same day. And this makes perfect sense with this model, but absolutely no sense with the heliocentric vast universe Big Bang model.
Genesis also stated that the sun was created on the 4th day. So how the hell had 3 days passed without a sun?
This is why the wandering stars remain within 18 degrees of the ecliptic as well.
Nope, wrong again. They remain close to the ecliptic because the solar system formed in pretty much the same plane. Imagine it like a disk, if you will, when the planets first started to coalesce. Ironic, I know, but true.
By the way, the planets don't orbit underneath the Earth or anything. Once they've crossed the Earth plane, they'll appear back at the other side.
Oh yes, because that would be just silly, wouldn't it?
Just like the stars do. I mean, this model can also easily explain the known and observed motions of the stars all over the Earth. So as we look north, we'll see them rotate anti-clockwise, almost around, Polaris. And then we look east and we see the stars rise straight up, exactly as observed in reality. And then if we look to the south, the stars are known to rotate clockwise. in the seemingly opposite direction to the north. And not only that, but the constellations are different. They're not merely reflections of the same stars, they're completely different. There's only one set of stars. There's no reflections going on. Again, unless somebody has proof of it, and there isn't any. And then as they rise in the east, they set in the west. The stars travel straight overhead east to west along the celestial ecliptic. Again, there's no way for the circle, the one-poled dome model to explain opposite spin of the stars like this. But here we see it plainly in front of us.
So exactly how it looks because the Earth is a globe and rotates, rather than stationary with the sky rotating. Funny that.
It also, can't explain why the stars travel straight in parallel to the equator, straight above our heads. If you track Orion is the most obvious example. It travels straight. How can it do that if they're circling around a dome with the Polaris in the middle at the top of the dome? Like simply the stars rotate around two poles and travel as one mass rotating over the Earth every 23 hours and 56 minutes or so, east to west. And the stars also never change position relative to each other. The constellations are fixed, and there's no evidence they've ever changed at all, which means they're rotating around us.
Come on, Darren. Did you not see my video last week? The stars do move, just very slowly. Link is in the description.
No, they're not independent suns all flying off in different directions around the galaxy. This is a plain observation anyone can make if they've not been pre-programmed to think otherwise. And the stars rotate outside of the Geo-Helio system, so we can see the wandering stars in the system dancing against the night sky, some retrograde, some prograde, but all part of the planetary system that crosses with the sun.
So the planets are closer than the stars. That's not a groundbreaking statement, is it?
So really this model successfully explains all the motions of the heavens over a fixed plane Earth, which is what our senses know is reality.
Except for the fact it's utter lunacy. And don't get me started on the senses again. Wow, could that have been any more awkward? A flat earther who not only disagrees with reality, but also with the traditional made-up flat earth model. You might notice that Daz has disabled comments for his videos. A shame, as I'd have loved to have him to be able to see my humble opinion about his square-shaped pizza 400-year-old plagiarised Earth and Heavens model. Well, that's it for me this week. I always love a good response video. Thank you all so much for watching. A like and subscribe would be thoroughly appreciated. I shall see you all next week. Bye. It's not very often that I'm angered by something I see on YouTube, especially when the video I'm watching is made by a silly flat earther. But this week, I've seen something that has literally boiled my blood.
Cartoons. It's all fake.
Hello all, and welcome along to Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. As you've probably already guessed from the intro, I am not a happy man. Today, we are responding to one Nathan Roberts, a biblical author that's responsible for this. I will certainly be doing a book review on that, but that's for another video. The video in question that I'm responding to today has Nathan out and about doing some Sunday shopping at his local Target store. Harmless, right? Let's go back to the beginning.
So here's this children's space book I just picked up in Target.
Please bear in mind that this man says he's an author, someone who is supposed to uphold the sanctity of books and promote their place in our culture as a doorway to adventure and enlightenment.
And I don't agree with ever purchasing such a book.
Then don't purchase it. The words are probably too complex for you anyway.
But if you're ever going to purchase a heliocentric book that is bent on teaching lies to children,
What the hell are you doing? Right, this was true. We did used to think that the world was the centre of the universe. We used to think that it was stationary and that everything revolved around us. Like the kids' book says though, this was wrong. We grew up as a species. Well, most of us did.
Right here, this right here is lies and propaganda. So if you ever want to buy a children's book on space, then this is how I propose you do it. You get it off the bookshelves by first ripping it up, and then you buy it. This right here is a bunch of lies, a bunch of cartoons.
In your opinion, which no one cares about. By the way, have you noticed how triggered he looks? It's like he's about to blow his top, like this book is about to send him over the edge.
All this ridiculous math that they put in here doesn't even make any sense.
No. It doesn't make any sense to you. But that's okay. I can give you online lessons if you like.
Look, that's supposed to be the picture of the sun. Baloney.
I'm interested to hear your authority on the matter when it comes to the sun. What's funny is it actually is a picture of the sun. You're just too close-minded to understand how we could ever take it.
All these fake space pictures feeding lies to children. All this propaganda, worshiping the sun, teaching children how to elevate themselves above God's throne.
No, we're teaching children about nature, stuff that's real, not silly little stories about a man with a goatee that could walk on water.
His firmament, which is above his firmament. All this stuff. Look, these are just cartoons. It's all fake. Never been to the moon. Moon hoax. All lies. Look at this ball of garbage. Bunch of garbage. Look, they even have a flat horizon back there.
Nope, that looks like it has a slight curve to me.
Space. Rockets hitting the dome firmament, going nowhere. Look at this, showing the moon landing hoax. Bunch of garbage.
I love it how he's ripping right through the picture part as a way to make it more believable that it's actually doing something. Because all he is right now is a crazy guy ripping up a book in a shop.
That astronaut suit would never withstand the temperatures. Would be able to keep. Look at this. Flat horizon. You see that? Look at that. They're telling you it's flat.
What, this page here? That looks like a curve to me. What do you guys think?
Might have been one of the more honest pictures in there. Oh, and this right here, this is where they say they're going to be talking to aliens from, right here, using this device. Yeah. Yep. Here, this is the alien deception right here, guys. This is the alien deception that they're programming all children with, right here. There it is. All the aliens going to come off these alleged spaceships.
It's a kid's book, buddy. What kid's book isn't complete without some goofy looking aliens in it?
Just military aircraft Ain't nobody going out to Mars. Bunch of baloney. Look at this.
Wow, what a hero. Your family must be so proud.
Time to go make my purchase.
Was that you that was here in the pages?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm buying it.
Okay. As long as,
Yeah,
okay, as
the-
long as you're buying it, it's
yeah,
fine. I'm just
the only-
making sure.
The only way to buy a fake space book for children is to purchase it and rip it up before, just because you don't want children to have to get programmed with the alien invasions fake space stuff.
Yes, because ripping up one book is going to stop that, isn't it? Never mind the TV programs, films, other books, and teachers of this world.
The Earth is flat, stationary and flat, and I don't know if you believe in the Bible, but there's over 200 verses that all corroborate this. Satan has deceived the whole world, so everyone believes that you can go to outer space and there's going to be aliens that can come here and they can communicate with them. They even have scientists come on Fox News and say, oh, there's aliens out there. So people believe there's aliens, and this all here is propaganda.
We would really
So-
prefer that you pay for it prior to tearing it up, honestly,
Okay.
because it could be that you left before you paid for it, and then we would be stuck having to damage it out.
Oh, that's understandable,
Yeah,
but I'm not.
that's our main concern.
But yeah, I'm here. I'm paying for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as you pay for it.
Yeah, this is clearly me making a statement that this is baloney right here.
I
And it's
understand
baloney in a basket.
Yeah, you see, you haven't mentioned the old flat earth buzzword yet, perspective, because to my perspective, that's not baloney in a basket. This is baloney in a basket.
I just wanted to make
So, but
sure.
yeah, sure. I wouldn't just leave the place.
It
So,
just seemed
yeah.
a little violent. I was making sure everything was okay.
Oh, I mean, if this is considered violent and aggressive, we have really lost it.
No, you have lost it. Look at those eyes. He is completely gone, isn't he?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, flatearthdoctrine.com. I wrote a book on it. So it's like now over 240 scriptures. I have them all published on my website. Yeah, and also there's government documents that I've published on my website, which they also say in their own research the Earth is flat.
US government documents. I've seen these documents he mentions here. They're very convoluted and it's difficult to ascertain anything from them. Yes, it says about a flat earth in them, but a lot of Americans believe the earth is flat. It doesn't surprise me. Even governments can be wrong. Heck, look at my government. Half of them think it's good to leave the EU.
Can you bag that to the papers, please? Thank you.
He even makes the poor checkout lady bag up the pages. What a cretin.
And that's how you buy a heliocentric, propaganda, satanically driven propaganda book written for children from Target.
No, that's how you make yourself look like a crazy, unhinged and immature bellend. I suspected there was a reason for this stunt, and it turns out that it's this. Old Nathan has a children's book of his own. Earth is flat like a mat. This is one of the most appalling things you can do. It is indoctrination in the most disgusting form, and I am saddened that it's been given a green flag to appear on the site. So, I have sent a strongly worded email to Amazon in the hope that this book is pulled from their website. I'll let you all know how that goes, although I won't hold my breath. Anyway, that's me done for today. Thank you all for watching. Next time we see this guy, I'll hopefully be reviewing his adult book. I've been Simon Dan. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Hello all, and welcome along to another Flat Earth Friday showdown with me, Simon Dan. Today, I'm responding to a video by a YouTuber called Adam I. Fee. This was voted for by my patrons to be the next video I take on, so today is that day. If you'd like to get involved with the Patreon site, please check out the link in the description. You can vote for future videos, be entered into prize draws, plus loads more, so please do take a look. Right, Adam I. Fee. I was actually thankful that this one won the vote, as we had a bit of history. He posted a video on his channel that was very anti-me. He quickly removed it, but thankfully someone recorded it and sent it to me before he did. Here's a clip.
Simon Dan, you are now Simon Clown. You have nothing. You have a silly haircut, a dopey look on your face. You love magic stories. And I don't even know if you're just deluded or you really are some sort of government halfwit. Either way, what a joke.
In it, he basically claims that I can't prove the globe even though he's offering me money and that I'm too scared to debate. I think by now everyone knows I don't do debates with flat earthers. It's a pointless exercise. If they ask for photographic proof and then say it's CGI, what else can you say? There's literally an excuse for everything. So this particular video is entitled Google Earth Proves Flat Earth. Has he been able to achieve the impossible? Let's find out.
This video is called Google Earth Proves Flat Earth, strangely enough. Okay, going on a cycle ride. The reason I choose cycle ride on Google Earth or Google Maps is because it gives me the elevation.
It's important to remember that he's just made this statement, and in particular the word elevation. Let's continue.
Which is what those figures are. Ooh, come out. It's not focusing properly. I'll show you that in a minute anyway. There we are, focusing better. But point being, I've gone on a 600-mile journey, 601 miles from Weymouth to Aberdeen. That's some cycle ride. 601 miles. Now, let's have a look at what we should be looking at. Curvature, Earth's curve. 600 miles. Let's say 500. Wow, 31 miles of curve, is that? Yeah. 31 miles, 500 miles. We're giving them the benefit of doubt here over 101 miles. But yeah, 500 miles, 31 miles of curve. That's what we should be looking at.
Okay, so you've got a cycle ride up on Google Maps and you've figured out how much drop or curve there should be over the 601 miles that the journey covers, which is 31 miles. Got you.
Okay, so where are we at here? What we're actually getting is, let's have a look, what's the difference? On the journey, elevation is, I go up 16,322 feet, I come down 16,312 feet. Wow, difference of 10 feet. 10 feet of difference.
You heard it here first, people. There's only 10 feet of difference between Weymouth and Aberdeen. Of course, what you fail to understand is that you're using elevation, which is a value given to the height above sea level. As you're making your journey from one seaside town to another, then of course there's going to be very little difference between the two. Or, to put it another way, look at this. This is a route from Swansea to Buxton. The distance is 261 kilometres, which is around 162 miles, much less than Adam's journey from Weymouth to Aberdeen. As you can see, the elevation change is 3,073 metres up and 2,778 metres down. That's a difference of 295 metres. This is because, as I said before, elevation is different to curvature. I've just proved that by taking a shorter journey that shows a higher elevation change.
Between Weymouth and Aberdeen, 600 miles, 10 feet of difference. And yet that should be 11 miles of curve. 10 feet of difference, and I'm guessing that's the difference of the road height above. That's it. That's just the difference of the road height and nothing else.
The difference of the road height? So you mean one road is about 10 feet higher above sea level than the other, as you'd expect.
So, wow, it would seem England from north to south, or Britain from north to south, is flat.
No, what it would seem is that you have completely misunderstood something as simple as elevation.
Okay. Right, here's our American journey now. We're going from San Francisco to New York.
Oh my, here's another one. Hang on, let me guess. Seaside to seaside?
Which is Battery Chamberlain Road to North Road. Zoom in quickly if I can. San Francisco location.
Right next to the sea.
From the west coast all the way across the east coast to New York. I think this is the Hamptons, quite a posh part. Going right to a point again by near the sea called North Road by the look of it. Yeah, Montauk Point Lighthouse.
Again, right next to the sea.
Anyway, journey is 3,350 miles. Elevation up 63,150 feet. Down 63,146 feet. Total difference is 4 feet difference from coast to coast.
Who would have thought it? The difference in height above sea level between one place next to the sea and another place next to the sea is only 4 feet.
And I'm guessing that is in the difference of the height of the roads. 4 feet difference. 3,350 miles. The curve chart now tells us what we should have been looking at. Over a thousand miles of curve. At 3,000 miles, you're looking at 1,375 miles of curve or drop. And what was it? 4 feet difference. 4 feet difference.
Right, that's great. Let's see your pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge taken from New York then. No? As I thought. So either you knew this already and you were just chancing your arm in the hope it would come off as some sort of proof, or you really are as ignorant as you sound. I'll leave a link to this video in the comments of his and we'll see what he has to say about it. Well, that wraps up another episode of Flat Earth Friday Fun. A like and subscribe would be duly noted. Have a great weekend. Thank you, and I'll see you all soon. How many of you remember this guy?
Simon Dan, right?
You mean no Simon Dan? There's no Sai in his conversation. He just rejects the evidence and distorts it to suit his narrative. Do you know, can I just say, Ranty, before you do, Nathan and I discussed whether we should even talk about this, and we came to the conclusion that we weren't going to mention it because we didn't really want to promote him.
Hello all, and welcome along. My name is Simon Dan, and I'm back with more Flat Earth fun. That was our old friend Sleeping Warrior. The clip I just played was from a response to a video I made about his supposed dissection of some globe earth proof that Al K posted a couple of months ago. He wasn't happy that I'd caught him out either lying or just being plain ignorant, hence the no Simon Dan comment from him. Well, he is my subject again this week, and he's been a bit silly. Let's discredit him even further. Last month he engaged in a debate with a fellow globe earth YouTuber, Conspiracy Cats. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. You definitely need to check him out, he is brilliant. In the debate, Sleeping Warrior had pre-arranged 5 talking points that they were to discuss. Now obviously Conspiracy Cats performed admirably on all points discussed, but I want to pick up the action as they begin to discuss point 5, which was this.
Space does not exist how we are told. No astronaut has ever tested a spacesuit whilst locked in a sealed vacuum chamber. Why is this evidence not there?
So this is the point we're going to look at, and Sleeping Warrior begins his argument.
Now there is one video of an astronaut testing a spacesuit inside a vacuum chamber, but it was called. They pressed the panic button because the guy started to die, and they had to rush in and repressurize the container that he was in because it pulled the pressure differential pulled one of the pipes off, and basically his suit started to. Well, what his commentary afterwards said was that the spit on his tongue was beginning to boil. And literally, you watch his feet fall backwards. But the cause was that the vacuum pulled one of the pressurization pipes off that was feeding him oxygen, which was pressured because of the differential, and it burst off him and it nearly killed him.
This is true. Okay, 1966, Jim LeBlanc entered a vacuum chamber to test a moonsuit prototype. Somehow his pressurization hose became disconnected, and he was lucky enough to get out with only an earache. At this point, Sleeping Warrior then begins to unload copious amounts of word salad.
So they didn't do any more testings ever. They did not show any evidence of testings. As far as we're aware, they've not been tested at all. So the problem is, if space exists the way they tell us, and there is no evidence that spacemen in spacesuits inside a vacuum chamber have been satisfactorily tested, you have the risk of micrometeorites. You know what a micrometeorite is?
Oh, yeah.
Very fast moving, but very microscopically small, basically a bullet. And there's trillions upon trillions of them floating around everywhere. They just fly, that's space, right? Little tiny micrometeorites.
Yeah.
An astronaut is incredibly at risk of a micrometeorite collision with his suit that's going to basically, if it doesn't pass straight through the suit and him in it, it'll pass through the suit and scar the suit and create a puncture. But if it did that, then he's in immediate danger, very quickly danger. And any normal risk assessment will tell you that what's the risk? Micrometeorites. I mean, there are other risks, but this is just one example. But micrometeorites are the risk. What action can be taken to protect yourself against a projectile that's travelling at thousands of miles an hour, that's infinitely small, that will rupture your suit, and probably you if you get in between it and that. And you can't. There's nothing you can do about it because you can't predict when they're going to come unless you're carrying around in a massive load of steel. You're not going to be able to guard against it.
If you want to be technical, a micrometeorite would have already passed through Earth's atmosphere. I assume we're considering micrometeoroids. If you'd actually done some digging on this, you'd have found that astronaut suits are protected for this outcome to a point where NASA would not use them if the chance of penetration was higher than 6%. That means 94% of impacts do not go straight through the suit.
But even if we accept the micrometeorite's point, the differential itself why has no spaceman ever been shown inside a vacuum chamber in a vacuum that we can prove is a vacuum, not just by a needle but by putting water in there or whatever, prove that it is genuine vacuum? And there are flat earthers, Mark Sargent, who has volunteered that if there is a space astronaut that is prepared to get inside a proper NASA astronaut suit, then get inside a vacuum chamber, turn the pressure off so that it makes the vacuum, and then get him out of it and he survives, he will then validate that as true. And so far, we haven't been able to do it.
Yes, we have. Okay, we've got the Johnson Space Center vacuum chamber that has tested the suits they plan to use in the Orion spacecraft. This was done in March 2017. Here is a photo of them during the test. Oh, but you need to see water boiling, you say, otherwise you don't believe it. Well, what if I say that this has been done so regularly and is so relatively safe enough that they put a TV personality in one of them 8 years ago? The Grand Tour presenter James May went into a vacuum chamber for his BBC show. It clearly shows water boiling in the chamber with him. I can't show a clip due to copyright issues, but I'll post a link to the video in the description. Watch this now if you can, and then come back.
But fundamentally, we are challenging science to see whether or not this is capable of replication.
Which it is, as I've just explained.
Now, there are vacuum chambers all around the world, and we have a guy who claims to be the son of an astronaut. His name is M. Scott Veitch, and I'm sure he could pull some strings because his dad was a real-life astronaut. Daddy lied to him.
More word salad.
Or why has no spaceman ever been inside a vacuum chamber, inside a spacesuit, to prove that a spacesuit even does what they say it does, regardless of the micrometeorites claim? That is really big evidence that the credibility of space does need to have, and we're right to be beating the drum about it.
You mean like the evidence I just supplied?
These guys have not got the evidence to show that spaceman can exist in a spacesuit inside a vacuum chamber, which is what they tell us space is, and that evidence is really big, and it's missing.
It's really not. You can find it in like 2 minutes.
Why is that evidence missing? And why are we even having the conversation? It should be cats out on the mat stuff. It should be that's what happens inside a spacesuit, inside a chamber, and they can exist for whatever. And that's not even considering the risk of micrometeorites. So the question is, why does that evidence not exist? And if it does exist, why are we not seeing it when we're all screaming for it? Because we want to see a man in existence inside a spacesuit, inside a vacuum, and then see what happens.
Got a timeline between us and this. Oh, there he goes.
Word salad only gets you so far, buddy. Sooner or later you're going to end up looking silly, like today. It gets worse though. After some exchanges with conspiracy cats, he continues with more baffling points.
For space to exist, the gas pressure, by definition of a gas pressure, it still does require the walls of the container. So yeah, we can create a vacuum, man-made. We can create a vacuum, but how do you have a vacuum in space, what they call space, without any walls for it to exist? It requires them walls for it to be a vacuum.
Oh dear, the word salad is becoming very wilted very quickly. The vacuum of space needs walls to contain it. What? Yes, we need walls to contain a vacuum here on Earth because we have an atmosphere, and any hole in the container would mean the higher air pressure of the atmosphere outside the vacuum would rush inside said container. A vacuum is just empty space. You don't need walls to contain an empty space.
So it's like having like a tyre.
You just need to look at the expression on Conspiracy Cat's face here to see the absurdity of the statement.
With no tyre. It's like having the air inside the tyre at 30 psi, but with no tyre. And the idea that sounds to me preposterous. But ultimately, there is no evidence of any spaceman in a spacesuit inside a vacuum chamber to prove that they can actually do it.
Apart from the evidence I've just given you.
Why is it not there?
Well, what you said about the 70,000, just slightly going off topic for a second, I think there's people out there outside of, flat Earth or whatever. I don't think the Earth's flat. I would love to see the original video footage from the moon landing. I think it'd be great, and that, when you get that back, that should either answer a lot of your questions, or it will raise a lot more questions and a lot more suspicion, won't it? It'll do one of the two.
Have you not realised that I know this wasn't one of the questions, but the Challenger disaster, the biggest NASA disaster that they've had? Are you aware that of all the, I think it was 9 astronauts that died, 8 of them are still alive?
I've heard that. I've said to you before, I love watching conspiracy documentaries and things like that. That's on my list to get through. I don't believe that.
And you are right not to. This gives us a great insight into how Sleeping Warrior gets his information and the fact-checking that he does. What he's probably seen is a picture like this, or a slightly different variation of it, or a YouTube video or something. Now, if Mr. Warrior had actually looked into it and done some research, not flat Earth research, but proper research, he would have found out that this is all a hoax. The man on the left of this picture is the commander of Challenger, Francis Scobie. The man on the right is also Francis Scobie, who during the time of the launch was CEO and president of the Marketing Edge Inc. out of Chicago. Clearly not the same guy. They've got completely different shaped chins. What about this one? The man on the left of this picture is Challenger mission specialist Ellison Onizaka. The man on the right is his brother Claude. And this one. The lady on the left of this picture is Sharon McAuliffe, a teacher who was selected out of 11,000 applicants to be the first civilian in space. The lady on the right doesn't even look like her, and we're supposed to believe that they're the same person, despite the fact that at the time of the launch, Sharon McAuliffe on the right was working for a law firm in New York. That's just 3 examples, and it's the same for all the others. A horrible hoax that is a disgrace to the memory of the astronauts that lost their lives that day. It's likely that some of them didn't actually die as a result of the explosion, and that they fell to their deaths with the knowledge they probably wouldn't survive. Sleeping Warrior, I want you to really think about that. Imagine what it must have been like. Think about their families and what they've been through. Then tell me you're okay with carelessly spreading this sort of garbage around like it's a known fact. Sorry, but that conspiracy is one that really annoys me. It's not like the shape of the Earth, because the Earth doesn't care what you think. This one involves real people, courageous people that dared to dream of more. You don't get to shit all over that because you believe any old claptrap that you see on the internet. Bloody hell, I got angry twice in 2 weeks. Well, I think that's it for me. Just about done for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Big shout out to Conspiracy Cats. I mean it about checking out his channel. Please do that, he is excellent. If you enjoyed it, then please allow yourself to like and subscribe. Remember, there's a Facebook page as well. Just search for Simon Dan. I shall see you all next week. Thank you and bye. I bet you've never seen a better scientific experiment than this. Hello all and welcome along, my name is Simon Dan and I am back with more Flat Earth Friday frolics. Today we're responding to a YouTube channel called John Smith Globe Lie. They are normally all about activism on the streets, but in this particular video a guy called Chris apparently exposes the Globe Lie. I'm intrigued. Let's see what he's got. He's got 2 cameras. He's got a turntable. He's got a toy aeroplane. And he's got a gate. Well, don't know about you, but I'm convinced. I'm off for a pint.
2 hours later.
Sorry, he had more. Apologies. Continue.
So we've got here the North Pole, which is there on the ball. Then we've got us in Great Britain, which is here on the ball. Then we've got Florida on the ball further down. South America here, the top of South America, and then the equator. They're all rotational planes around the ball.
Right, I'm 100% with you.
So as we move, using the centre North Pole pivot around that as a pivot, we all move at different speeds in space if we live on a ball. And we should see the sky move at different speeds, dependent on where you are on this spinning ball. And if the stars, look, a single star moves at the same speed from Earth, then stars are moving. If they're moving faster for other people on the ball, the Earth is moving, but they don't see that. The stars all move at the same, one star moves at the same speed for everybody.
Does it? The stars all appear to rotate around us once in a 24-hour period. That's 360 degrees in that time, which means 15 degrees per hour. However, to an observer here on Earth, they appear to move at different speeds. Polaris barely moves at all, but Rigel, which in winter time is near the horizon, appears to move much faster.
That's the point. So we rotate, that end's moving slowly, this end's going like a jet.
Like a jet? Wow, that is fast. You must have pulled that gate pretty hard, buddy.
On a ball, spinning round. Doesn't work. We don't see that. We're not on a ball. The stars are spinning round us, and we're not moving. This experiment proves the concept. Use your garden gate, stick a couple of mobile phones on it, and move it yourself, and work it out for yourself. Look at the globe they give you, and then do the experiment yourself, and you'll see. Spin that gate, and you'll see.
How about you make that gate move 180 degrees in 12 hours, then tell me how fast it's moving, because that is the speed we need to concern ourselves with. it would take him, what, at least half a day, wouldn't it? Not very fast at all, and that's what we experienced. Genius. Oh my, here we go again.
We've worked out it's flat. I know it sounds mad. Stars are going around us. Right. And that's probably, there's loads of different theories. It's been going on for about 3 years. I think there's 20 million YouTube videos on YouTube now.
20 million videos of people saying, where is the curvature? Water finds its level and space is fake. Hardly groundbreaking, is it?
Over the last 2-3 years, people have thought, 3 years ago, it was probably about 6th. But people have cottoned onto this, looked into it for themselves, and worked out what we've been told is a load of bollocks.
No, what people have done is not understand a physical concept and then replace their confusion with something that they can grasp, despite the complete lack of coherent thinking.
Where I've come up with this proof, basics proof, right? That it's that simple that no one seems to have picked up on it, or they picked up bits. There's plenty of people picked up on it, but they've not sort of how to explain it. And I've worked it out how to explain it in the simplest form. And once people get their head around and see this, they'll realise balls, basically.
Actually, what they'll realise is that they've just wasted 5 minutes watching a guy push a gate backwards and forwards as concrete proof that Earth isn't a ball. All the time realising they could have spent the time better counting the amount of bird shits that have hit their car today. Oh no, not again. I'm done. I can't take any more of this gate swinging. What a load of old shit. Besides, I think we did enough to discredit our friend Chris from John Smith Global Eye, didn't we? Another successful video, done and dusted. Thank you all for watching very much. Thanks to all the subscribers as well. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. And I'll see you all next week.